Good morning, my fellow yoga travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. Don't forget to loaf and cleanse, hydrate, exfoliate, moisturize, tone, and use your serum. All right, it's Friday. That means it's PowerPoint Day. Mind Gym is what this is all about. The first thing is the stages of psychosocial development as mentioned by Erickson, the 8 stages which teach you either trust versus mistrust, autonomy versus being shamed about your autonomy, initiative versus inhibition of your initiative, industry as opposed to feeling inferior to what you can put out, identity as opposed to confusion as to who you are. Sorry. And the other ones are stagnation, intimacy, bonding with a person, or isolation, end up by yourself, generativity, passing it on to the next generation, or stagnating with what you know, and then finally integration before you kick the bucket, or despair if you haven't been able to integrate. And then you're like the Star Trek crew, boldly going where no one has ever gone before. You got to be like a pioneer of your own consciousness. You have to make a quantum leap of the additional potential that you have, but it lies fallow. The body is like unused capital. Then remember how important conversation is. They say conversation is like intercourse for the soul. Everyone needs to be heard. And in our world, sometimes we promise ourselves everything except each other. And then we need each other to find our way if we're going to make it. Yes, there's reason to weep for unbearable tragedy that's happening all over. And when we're bombarded with the images of the worst of what we're capable of, what do we believe about each other? Remember, what's wrong is always available. What's bad is always available. Is that what you do with your attention? So that gives you either fear or hope. Which side are you on? So remember, it's about cooperatively working together, not just competitively working. Yes, it's great to have somebody to challenge you and bring out the best in you when you're playing a game where they're seemingly set up so one person wins and one person loses. But for win-win, it's all about cooperation and not competition. Yes, it's increasingly difficult to do what we know is best, but this is why you want an opponent, a worthy adversary. How about healing the world as the worthy adversary? Now, it's interesting that all are equal, but not are all equally human. Yes, all beings are born human, but we all have to learn what it is to be a human being. So, should we learn from the neuroscientists? Should we learn from the monk? Is there a manual to teach you this, or is it something that you learn through living and osmosis? Now, you have to believe that the other person has something to offer. Otherwise, there's no sense in talking to them. If you don't believe that there could be any kind of creative jam, something that is brought forth new that never existed before, why would you make the effort? I'm a believer that there is something new. There is something wonderful that can happen from jamming together. But we got to open up to each other. We got to expose our vulnerability and our honesty. So be curious about diversity. Obviously, it's clear there is diversity. Can you find the unity within diversity? And I say that the deeper order will show itself if you can tap into that place within you that is already one with the diversity. So from a yoga point of view, this happens especially when you disengage. That's where you get the vision of unity, when you let all the background levels of your own biosocial identification atrophy and fall away till you're involved in it, but you're not compelled because you have this other grounding in your Shiva nature, which is always deep in transcendental meditation. So I love this little cartoon. This active listening workshop sounds useful. Well, why would I want to go to a workshop? Yeah. So sometimes we feel threatened and fearful of what's being challenged within ourselves. We don't listen because if we did, we'd have to change. So this is the challenge I put to myself. How much can I keep changing and adapting to situations, both within myself, whether it's aging and health related or familial relationship related, or whether it's in the events in the world. So I stop pretending that I can go it alone. I need help. I ask for help. I gladly and gratefully accept the support, and I try to support other people at the same time. And then, of course, we can change if we think we can, together. You don't get it together alone. And so I ask you, what's your vision for the future? Is the future worth having? It's not just it's the lack of will, not integrity that we have. Can we put ourselves towards that task, or at least power up the next generation so they can do a better job than we did? So, do you have a vision for the future? I hope you do. I do. Have a great day.